Chicago Bears are next up in our perfect mock drafts, the Chris Farley mock drafts.
Yeah, things are going great.
Here in the Sportsocracy, things not going so great for the Chicago Bears.
Now you kids are probably asking yourselves, hey, Matt, how can we get back on the right track?
Well, you don't have a first-round draft pick because of the Justin Fields trade, so...
If you remember when you traded up for Justin Fields, I cautioned you that this is exactly what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You had to trade off Khalil Mack for an extra piece, which you got, and now all of the – basically, not everything you do, but a lot of what you do in this draft is going to have to be aimed at how can we better protect Justin Fields. That's what happens at 39 and at 48.
Yeah, at 39, after you lose Allen Robinson, he was never coming back after the franchise year, but – he's gone now, and maybe this could be a replacement for him. George Pickens, the wide receiver out of Georgia.
To me, you have to compliment Byron Pringle and Darnell Mooney, and the way to do that is to go get a big physical receiver. George Pickens has been climbing boards throughout the entire draft process. The biggest drawback on him was there was a rather bleak knee injury a year ago. But then you saw at the combine, he's just a freak athlete. There's so much raw in him. Not as great of a blocker as you would like for him to be at 6'3", 200 pounds, but he's a perimeter do-it-all. I wish he was a little bit better of a route runner, but he is going to be the security blanket for Justin Fields. I think he comes in, he's a day one starter opposite Mooney and Byron Pringle.
And he's kind of nasty, too. That's sometimes to a fault. I mean, go back to the Georgia Tech game year before last. But also, Justin Fields pretty familiar with him since they played together at Georgia.
That played into this a little bit as well. And the fact that this is the red zone target. This is the mismatches in college were very obvious when you got down inside the 15-yard line. You can rest assured, I pretty much guarantee you I know where the ball's going.
At number 48 overall in the second round, Kenyon Green, the guard out of Texas A&M, perfect.
Tevin Jenkins coming back this year. Obviously, that's going to be the left tackle. I hate that you let James Daniels walk out the door for nothing, especially when I saw the deal he got with the Steelers. So now you're going to have to fix the interior of this line. I mean, and I'm not sure that you feel great about it anyway. I always said I thought Tevin Jenkins was a right tackle, not a left. Larry Borum, he played. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's that. You're going to have to cobble this together the best way you can. You know, you're working at a deficit in draft capital, and this is where that starts to show. But now Kenyon Green is the kind of – he's not a project, he's a projection, because I saw flashes of what he could do. I mean, this was the number one recruit in the state of Texas when he came out, 6'4", 325. He's super versatile and has a mean streak. The problem is just insanely inconsistent. I do think he could play right guard in a pinch. Very quick for his size, but you're going to have to round off the warts, which is why you can get him in the second round as opposed to the end of the first, which is where he started in the process.
In the third round, 71 overall, Kobe Bryant.
This is the first pick that doesn't help Justin Fields because your corners are not great. It's Jalen Johnson and not much else. Mm-hmm. So you need a guy that can come in and start right away. That's what Kobe Bryant is. I don't necessarily think he's going to get tremendously better. That has been my take on him the entire process is, yes, he's a kid that can come in and start right away. It was Senior Bowl. He blew it away. He won best corner at the Senior Bowl, which is voted on by the players in the game, which should tell you a lot. Very, very man zone, versatile, can do all kinds of things. Not the greatest tackler you've ever seen. And I think that's why, to me, he's a 2 in the NFL, not a 1. Because there is natural talent that says he could be a 1. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to teach him to tackle because the form is just absolutely terrible at times.
A 2021 Thorpe Award winner out of Cincinnati, Kobe Bryant at 71 overall for the Chicago Bears. We always come to you from the Ingles studio, Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings. Fifth round, 148 overall. Taikwon Thornton, wide receiver out of Baylor.
And I'm sure somebody is going to ask, why is he here? He ran like a 4.02 or whatever the fuck he ran. Because he's not a very good receiver. And so his scheme fit is very it's very finicky. But I look at Taikwon Thornton and go, you're such a deep ball threat that you're going to pull pass rush off anytime you're on the field. There's just no way that you won't. 6'2", a buck, I think he weighed at $177 or something like that. Looked smaller than that to me at times. Doesn't run routes particularly well, but he runs really well. You're going to teach him to catch, which, that's the thing. But as I said, when you have this much of a deficiency in draft capital, you're going to have to take some chances. If you can teach him to be the deep threat, of which you saw it at times, he just ran a very rudimentary route tree. I think there's going to be a lot of growth that has to take place with him. But if that happens, this could be a great value. He's not going to go as high as people think. Just because he ran that fast, trust me, there are a lot of guys that are really fast that never turn into receivers in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I had a borderline draftable grade on him coming in. Now he's here because I do at least see the merit and the reputation. That's undersold. When you have one of the fastest guys to ever run at the combine, and he's not John Ross, who couldn't play dead in a Western, the reputation precedes you. And so defenses are going to give respect. And I think there is a value to Taikwon Thornton. It's just not in the third round where I keep seeing him go.
All right, 2 picks later at 150 overall, Damari Mathis, cornerback out of Pittsburgh.
The more I watch of this kid, the better I like him. And he's actually he could be a corner, he could be a safety. It depends on the team. There's a lot of raw, and it's a lot of projection. And where does he really fall in? The highest highs with him, he should have gone drastically before this. The lowest lows, not necessarily draftable. Started out, he was an ace special teamer when he was young. He's going to have to, play in the slot early. I see his role as that Tyrann Mathieu, just move him around. He can do a lot of things. I wish he was a little longer. He is a short guy, 5'11", $195. I would like you to thicken him up, strengthen him up. Can play in the slot initially, but my ideal scenario for him is that he moves around and plays that kind of honey badger role.
The last pick for the Chicago Bears in the 2022 NFL Draft is 186 overall in the 6th round.
These are my favorite guys when you get to this point because it's, wait, who? I've been watching all your shit. I've never heard this guy's name, not one time.
Daniel Hardy, the edge rusher out of Montana State.
So the funny thing about him is he's overshadowed by a guy he played with in Troy Anderson that converted from quarterback, played a little running back, converted to linebacker, and was just an athletic fucking marvel.
Yeah, him I have heard of.
Daniel Hardy actually had better stats at Montana State than Troy Anderson did.
Really?
He had 16 and a half sacks last year and 24 and a half tackles for loss. This is the first time he ever played defensive end in his life. So there's a lot of raw there. It's just super raw. Athletic. The problem is he's small. He's 6'2", 235, and the vertical's great. All the athletics are great. He's way more athlete right now than he is football player. And you have to take all those numbers that he put up at Montana State. You got to put that in a vacuum because it was such a low level of competition. So he's a player that you want to put in mothballs for a year. Bring him along, get the body right, figure out exactly where he fits because he is still learning the position. At this point, he doesn't even know what he doesn't know. So there's a lot of raw, but I can tell you the hottest team on him in this draft process is the Chicago Bears.
The perfect mock draft for the Chicago Bears. Is it going to turn you into, playoff team, Super Bowl contender? No, it's not. But you know what? It's something to build on at least. And this draft is so filled with talent that despite the fact you don't have a first-round pick, you can still get great picks.
You can't. This is the deepest draft I've ever graded, and it's not even close. And you're going to have to be a player in the priority undrafted free agent market. That's just the way it works. When you give up a first-round pick the way you did in getting Justin Fields, you really have to – guys like Daniel Hardy, you really have to prioritize those. The ones that you think have outrageous upside, you're going to have to use that last pick on them. But then you're going to have to come with aggressive offers in terms of signing bonus and things like that to get the young players into camp and just sift it out.
Do you trust Ryan Poles to make this a winner?
Yes. I like Ryan Poles a lot. And every person I know in the industry that has ever so much been in the same room with him says the same thing. He is going to be phenomenal for the Chicago Bears.
Now, what do you think about the picks? Like them, hate them? Let us know in the comments.
Frankly, if you just want to look at me and say,
Mom, I wish you could be Santa's little helper and shut your damn cake hole.
totally entitled to do that. If you've got a mock draft, if there's a player you'd like to know how they fit with the Bears, or if you got a question about the Bears, feel free to comment those out. We'll be doing mailbag shows between now and the April 28th draft, trying to answer questions for every team in every video. And we will be live for every pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, live from Las Vegas, Nevada.
And as always, we'll come to you from the Ingles studio. Ingles Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we'll see you next time.